My name is Finn. I'm an avid hiker, always seeking trails so remote they don't appear on any map. Last fall, I took a week-long trip into the Three Sisters Wilderness in Oregon, a section known for its impenetrable old-growth forest. I parked my truck 10 miles past the last logging road and entered the woods alone. The forest was instantly oppressive. Ancient trees blocked the sun, making the afternoon feel like late dusk. The silence was profound, but unlike the sterile Arctic silence, this silence felt alive, like thousands of unseen eyes were watching my every step. On the second day, I found something that shouldn't exist. Deep off trail, I came upon a towering Sitka spruce that had been perfectly stripped of its bark on one side, exposing the pale wood. Scratched deeply into the exposed wood was a series of symbols. 3 circles stacked vertically, crossed by 2 jagged horizontal lines. It wasn't standard trail marking, nor was it graffiti. It looked ceremonial, primitive, and terrifyingly deliberate. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature, realizing someone or something was marking this territory. That night, my sleep was restless. I woke up just after 2 a.m., feeling an intense pressure on my chest. I checked my digital compass. It was spinning wildly. I checked my analog compass. The needle was locked, pointing to south-southwest, even though I knew the true north was behind my tent. The distortion wasn't magnetic. It felt topographical. The forest itself was twisting space. I repacked everything immediately, determined to follow my tracks back out. But a sense of profound disorientation had already set in. As I hiked, I began to hear things, not behind me, but parallel to me, moving through the dense undergrowth. It was the distinct sound of heavy breathing, mixed with the soft, methodical crunch of human-like footsteps. I'd stop, and the footsteps would stop instantly. I'd move, and the steps would immediately resume. Whatever was tracking me was bipedal, massive, and knew exactly how to maintain a relentless, unnerving pace. The forest had become a closed, moving cage. The psychological warfare began. I was resting by a small creek when I heard a familiar voice from the tree line. "Finn, where are you? The trail marker fell." It was the voice of my hiking buddy, Liam. Liam was hundreds of miles away. I shouted for him to stop the pretense. The voice then shifted, becoming thin, high-pitched, and childish, begging, "Daddy, I'm lost. I can't find the car." It was a perfect, heartbreaking imitation of a lost child. The creature was testing the limits of my empathy, proving it could mimic any sound it needed. I ran. I didn't care about the compass or the trail. I just ran downhill. I burst into a small clearing, a perfect circle of grass with the oppressive forest looming on all sides. In the center stood a figure. It was tall, thin, and completely naked, its skin the color of damp, white mushroom caps. Its eyes were large, black voids, and its mouth was fixed in a wide, unsettling grin. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It simply stood there, observing my terror. This wasn't an animal. This was a watcher. I screamed and turned my back on the figure, crashing back into the woods. As I ran, the atmosphere around me shifted. The forest itself seemed to roar to life, not with sound, but with voices. Hundreds of voices, weeping, wailing, whispering, laughing, all speaking different words in different pitches, yet perfectly synchronized. The sound was so overwhelming that it felt like a physical pressure crushing my skull. The creature was activating a hidden chorus of terror, overwhelming my senses with the despair of every lost soul in the forest. I managed to dive behind a cluster of ancient boulders. When the voices subsided, I looked at my arm. Where the thing stood, the ground had been consecrated. The clearing had not been grass. It was an ancient circle of flat, smooth stones. And now resting atop the nearest stone was a piece of my gear. A small, personalized metal water bottle I had dropped miles back. The bottle was now completely warped, twisted into the same symbol, 3 circles and 2 jagged lines I saw carved into the spruce tree. The entity wasn't just following me. It was performing a ritual, claiming me as its territory. I needed to move, but I couldn't risk running blindly. I decided to move along the creek, hoping to mask my scent. But the entity countered immediately. The air suddenly filled with a strong, cloying scent, old gasoline mixed with burnt sugar. It was the exact smell of the logging truck my grandfather used to drive. The creature was taunting me, using the scent of my childhood memory to make me drop my guard, to make me believe I was near salvation. Or near a trap set by someone I trusted. I realized the monster was using its mimicry to corrupt my reality. The forest was not dangerous. The creature was making it dangerous by turning my senses against me. I pulled out my emergency flare gun, my last resort. I ran to the base of a tall, dead oak tree, aimed the flare straight up, and fired. The flare streaked upward, tearing a bright orange-red gash through the oppressive green canopy, a frantic, visible sign of my location and my panic. The light of the flare disappeared above the canopy. For 3 horrifying minutes, there was total silence. No breathing, no footsteps, no voices. Then, high above me, from the top of the unlit, oppressive canopy, I heard a sound that chilled me to my soul. A dry, rustling sound, followed by a loud, deliberate snapping sound. The sound of the thing breaking the flare's protective casing. It was silent because it had gone vertical, moving effortlessly through the treetops to intercept my only signal. The snapping sound was followed by a wet, rapid thump, thump, thump as the creature began to descend through the branches of the dead oak tree right above me. I screamed, knowing I was directly under it. I plunged backward, tripping over a hidden root. Just as I fell, the creature landed where I had been standing. Its movement was massive, heavy, and impossibly fast. I only caught a glimpse, a flash of long, pale limbs, and the metallic glint of massive, sharp talons hitting the dirt, churning up the earth. I crawled desperately away, pulling my small collapsible camp shovel from my pack. It was my only weapon. I didn't get far. The creature moved with inhuman speed, landing on my back with a soft, heavy thud. I felt the paralyzing weight of its body pressing me into the cold earth. as its sharp claws raked across my lower back, seeking a crippling hold. I twisted and managed to swing the shovel up blindly. The blade connected with a wet thwack against the side of its head. The creature screeched, not a human shriek, but a sound like rock grinding against bone. It recoiled for just a second. That was all I needed. I scrambled up and ran toward a nearby ravine, ignoring the deep, burning pain in my back. I didn't look back until I reached the edge. I looked up the slope, expecting a chase, but the creature wasn't following. It was standing back in the clearing, beside the warped water bottle, slowly holding the broken metal flare casing up to its large, black eyes, seemingly admiring the tool that almost betrayed its presence. The chase was over. The ritual was complete. I was rescued 2 days later by a search team. I survived with deep, scarred rake marks across my lower back and the absolute certainty that what hunted me wasn't an animal, but a primitive intelligence that specialized in mimicry and psychological terror. The official report remains open, citing an unidentified animal attack. I never hike again. Now, when I hear a sudden, out-of-place sound, a door slamming, a misplaced cough, or the distant, familiar voice of an old friend, I freeze. I know the creature is still out there, using the quiet spaces of the world to learn the sounds of its next victim, waiting for me to step back into its unmarked territory.